Welcome everybody, Ariya, Massoudi, Curt, Weiler. We are wrapping up here from Mike Norvell's Monday press conference. Florida State falls to Wake Forest earlier this week, and all the coaches were here to kind of break that down after they had a chance to watch the film. You've been doing your second look on our boards and doing a great job with that. Make sure you're checking that out. But Curt, overall thoughts on what Mike Norvell had to say about what Florida State did well against Wake and ultimately what they didn't do well to fall to the Deacons.
I mean, he talked a lot about, when you look back at that game, and it's true how few possessions there were. I think he said it was a 10-possession game for both teams. I think you saw Wake maximize his opportunities. You saw Wake force a turnover. FSU didn't do that. You saw Wake have real success on third down. FSU didn't do that. You saw FSU squander some scoring chances. Wake didn't really do that. That kind of is what it came down to. It was not FSU's best game, and yet it was a game they were in the fourth quarter. So I think that's in some ways a credit to them, but I think it's a learning lesson as well. The coaching staff was still, I would say, fairly chipper this morning. They did not seem downtrodden about the first loss of the season. I think they kind of have moved past it now with NC State on the horizon.
Yeah, and I think when most people went back and watched the game, coaches, that's their job, is to break the film down. Florida State didn't play very well and still had a chance to win the football game, right? They were still in it against a top 20 team who is very experienced, very veteran, and ultimately just made the plays in that fourth quarter to put you away. They talked about Jordan Travis's performance a little bit. Biggest takeaways from Norvell's thoughts on our QB.
Yeah, I think he talked about. I think he talked some more about. Thinking that the offense did press a bit in the first half, and then kind of all that came off of that. I think they all looked more comfortable. I think the big takeaway. They talked about Micah Pittman, and Micah Pittman was definitely the offense went as he did. I think they talked about a lot. The offensive line, Alex Atkins took some ownership with the offensive line, maybe saying that he didn't prepare them properly. I think especially the offensive tackles, and that showed a little bit in what Wake was able to do with the pressure it got and how that affected the FSU offense.
Yeah, it really did, and I think the physicality of the Deacons kind of shocked a lot of people, and they did a good job. Give Clausen a lot of credit. That's a team that wins 10 games, right? And they're probably well on their way to another double-digit victory season. The rushing attack for FSU couldn't really ever get going. It came in as one of the best in the ACC and in the country. They talked about that a little bit today as well, and trying to get Trayshawn Ward, Trey Benson, and Lawrence Toafili going again.
Well, it was a day where there was a lot of Trayshawn Ward. They didn't have a huge commitment to the run game. I think part of that was the deficit you got behind, and that you couldn't maybe commit to the run game, especially as the game went on, as much as you would have liked. It was mostly Trayshawn Ward, though. It was heavy on him, and I think the quote of the day was Alex Atkins. What was the quote? I think he said, he was like, he wouldn't like it if I called him short, so I'll just say he is a low center of gravity. But talked about just his balance and how impressive he is. That spin move, he continues. He showed it again on Saturday. That's a regular part of the arsenal that he uses quite well.
All right, let's flip over a little bit to the defensive side of ball. Adam Fuller talked to us, and Florida State started and struggled a little bit and then kind of found their groove there in the middle of the third quarter into the early fourth. But then Sam Hartman had the final drive, 18 plays, and grown man's drive, so to speak. What were your thoughts on what Fuller had to say about some of the adjustments he felt like he had to make and things that the Noles can do to improve?
Get off the field on third down. That was the problem of the game, and he said as much. I think he was his quote, some of the effect. Wake had way too much success on third down and converted too many third and 7+. I think was kind of the threshold he put it at. I think you tell a defensive coordinator they're in third and 7 or more, and they're going to say no matter what they should get off the field. And so there was not that. That's definitely where Wake won the game. You're talking about how many third or fourth downs they pick up on that 18-play drive. They kind of iced the game. It was that was the real struggle. You saw Jared Verse was definitely on a rep count. I know it was kind of a game time decision, and they didn't know until immediately before the game that he was going to be available, and he made the most of it. I think he had the most pressures on the team. He saw the impact there, and he impressed. And I think the hope is we'll be healthier this week.
Special teams. Obviously, I know everyone's a little frustrated with the way Ryan Fitzgerald's been kicking. The Noles don't have a ton of options right now there, but what were some of the things you took away from what Coach Norvell said and what Coach JP said?
Yeah, I think, 2 weeks ago, I remember after the Louisville game where Ryan Fitzgerald went over 2 up there was definitely I think Mike Norvell said as much of Ryan is still our kicker. That was not said today. It's not to say Ryan won't be the kicker come Saturday, but I think the coaches today were kind of like, things are going to be evaluated all week about whether it's Ryan or whether they were to give walk-on Aiden Shariari behind him a chance. It'll be interesting to see. I think it's tough to interpret that because, truthfully, Ryan Fitzgerald had a great week of practice. They said he didn't miss a kick all week in practice, but something about the games is not translating for him at the moment, and that's kind of a non-starter when it comes to a kicker.
there's a brief synopsis from Curt and I on just the way Florida State not just played at Wake, but the thoughts from the coaching staff as we move into NC State week. Keep it right here on the Osceola.com and FloridaState.Rivals.com. We've got so much content coming, podcasts galore. Curt's got articles coming, practice Tuesday, Wednesday, and then FSU gets set for NC State, 8 p.m. on ACC Network Saturday night in Carter Finley, Raleigh, North Carolina. All right, until we talk to you again, Curt Weiler, Ariya, Massoudi, appreciate you, and talk to you soon.